What is up, my fellow members of the CLC? Before we start this video, I just want to give a quick shout out to a few people. One is at the Detroit Line on Twitter, also known as the D Line, who made this really awesome logo for me, which I'll show you in a second, because my second shout out is I want to give one to my Aunt Lisa, who gave me this as a Christmas gift. Please follow at the Detroit Line on Twitter, and thank you once again to Aunt Lisa. This is awesome. If I ever become creative enough or unlazy enough, I will definitely hang this thing up. So on to the main topic of today's video. It is The Last Jedi. I saw it again on New Year's Eve, and as expected, my opinions of it have changed drastically. This part of my hair is annoying me. I need a haircut. I've grown to love the film. I really do. I think it's fantastic. I think it's bold. I still have a fair amount of problems with it. Before we get into spoilers, if I had to give it a rating, I would give it probably a 9 out of 10. I do feel like it's maybe a better movie than The Force Awakens, but I like The Force Awakens more. There's more moments in The Force Awakens that give me chills. It was just so great to see that world. The story is obviously repetitive and derivative of previous Star Wars films, but I just got such a joy watching that film that I would probably say I enjoyed that more, but I will acknowledge that The Last Jedi does something much different. So I'll start off with the things I didn't like, because I feel like last time I really shit on this movie, and unfairly so. So I'm going to start off with the bad things, and then we'll end with the good, and we'll go home happy. This will feature spoilers, though, so if you haven't seen The Last Jedi, first of all, what are you doing? Secondly, you probably don't want to watch this video. Okay, I'll start off with the bad. Leia using the Force. What the hell was that? Out of nowhere. I mean, I understand the whole Skywalker bloodline, that it's powerful, anybody can use the Force, but at the age of 70, all of a sudden she learns how to use the Force? How the hell does that happen? The entire subplot with the casino, I thought the character design looked incredible. It was one of those moments where, for a film that was trying to be different from other Star Wars movies, it's like, okay, this is the cantina scene. Like, you're just trying to create another cantina scene. Like, you were pushing it with the last movie, and in this one, it just didn't work for me. Benicio del Toro's character, I did not understand at all. I think maybe in the next film they might make something more out of him, but really, at the end of this movie, I could see no more of this character ever again, and I wouldn't miss a thing. He was a lame, weird character. Still, one of my biggest problems, though, is the humor. I think there's some of it that lands, some of it that's really funny, but there's a fair amount of it, especially when Rey is training with Luke, where it just doesn't work, where I wish things would have stayed quiet, where I wish things would have continued to be serious. Even in moments where Rey is communicating with Kylo Ren, like he has his shirt off, and they make a note of her saying, like, you know, can you put on a towel or something? Like, come on, this is like an important scene. It's just shut the fuck up. Also, one of the biggest things in this movie, maybe the most controversial thing in this movie, Snoke's death. The way he died, I don't mind. The way it was filmed, I thought was awful. Basically how it's filmed, I'll use this empty Budweiser can from yesterday to display it. So we got this Budweiser can, it's right here, this is the lightsaber, and Snoke is talking shit saying he's gonna kill you, he's gonna do this, and you see Kylo Ren's hand move, and you see the lightsaber move, and then he says something, all of a sudden lightsaber turns on, it kills Snoke. I thought that was awful, because you knew, in that moment, seeing the lightsaber, that something was gonna happen. Had he have just continued to monologue, then all of a sudden, bang, lightsaber turns on, that would have been a huge shock to everyone. But the fact that there's a 10-second buildup of the lightsaber moving, that was awful. Am I the only one who sees this? I feel like no one's talked about that. Because that moment should have been awesome. And instead, it was like, okay, well, we knew what was going to happen. They showed him moving the fucking lightsaber. Moving on to the good now. Performances really good across the board. Even people who I felt like weren't utilized well enough, like Finn. I still think John Boyega has a ton of charisma. Mark Hamill's excellent. There's still moments with him that I don't like. Him throwing the lightsaber over his shoulder. But overall, his performance was excellent. But to me, the best actor in these films is Adam Driver. Because the way Adam Driver has chosen to play Kylo Ren, in the first film, he was badass. And it was because, he was trying to be Darth Vader. But when he took off the mask, what you get is, obviously, he's still a villain, but the layers to that character, I think, are really impressive. And I think he is really to thank for that, especially in this film. There's a lot of things, a lot of variables that go into making that character really good, and one of my favorite moments in the film is when he's trying to get Rey to join him and say, look, let's fuck the First Order, fuck the Jedi, let's do our own thing here. And she's not succumbing to his wishes, and he just says, you're still holding on, and he just gets pissed, and that moment is powerful because that's a character who speaks so softly, so quietly, that when he does get pissed off, you feel the effect of it. The best thing that this movie has going for it are the last 30 to 45 minutes when it gets intense and it gets emotional. When it does come to a head and Luke comes back, first of all, I thought it was going to be this huge, badass, grand entrance, but I appreciated that it was very quiet, and it was a character moment. Him talking to Leia, him, acknowledging C-3PO, I thought that was really powerful, the way that they brought that character in, and then when he comes out to face Kylo Ren, I mean, that moment's just awesome. That's one of the coolest moments in the entire series so far, in any Star Wars movie, when Kylo Ren, who you can see is afraid of Luke, and he just says, put every fucking gun on that guy, and they try to blow him to smithereens, and Luke is still standing there, and it should have been so obvious that Luke was a Force ghost at that point, and obviously one of the more iconic moments in the film is the brushing off of his shoulder, and you see Luke finally be the badass that we've been wanting to see him be throughout these first two movies, and I felt like they gave him a great send-off. It was a perfect ending. We're gonna be in for more surprises in the next film, and I think it's gonna make the next film better, because another big compliment I could give this movie that I couldn't even give The Force Awakens is that it doesn't remake Empire Strikes Back at all. Now, there's elements of it that are similar to Empire, but much like Empire Strikes Back, it took chances. But the chances were much different than the chances that were taken in Empire, and I think what it ended up becoming was a film that is, for the time being, going to divide a lot of people. It was the same way with Empire. When Empire came out, audiences were mixed about it, but it's gone on to become known as not just one of the great sequels of all time, but one of the best films of all time. I'm not saying it's on that level at all. So that's going to about wrap it up. That's my overall feelings about Star Wars The Last Jedi. I knew I had to see it twice. I did not expect it to be as different as it was, but I still really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. As always, you can follow me on Twitter. That's at Castellani 2014. That's at Castellani 2014. I'm posting daily videos on Twitter. I'm ranking baseball players. I'm talking about other stuff. It's an incredible time in sports right now. And as always, I like talking about pop culture, like talking about movies. That's all I got. I'll see you guys later. Never stop losing.